Go.
Got it. Okay.
Hey everyone, Dave here with another episode of the Philly Tech Connect podcast for our group, Philly Tech Entrepreneurs. Today, I'm with John Sokol. John is a data scientist and founder at LeadX, sales enablement platform that uses machine learning to streamline the sales process. He started LeadX in August 2022, and he's been bootstrapping his 0 to 1 process. John, how are you doing today?
Dave, how you doing, man? Great to be on with you.
Awesome. Pleasure to be doing this with you. I know we've seen you at a couple of events. You've been coming out to some of the meetups, which is awesome. I know you travel from a little bit away, so really appreciate the effort you've made to get involved in the community. And then just in general, I'm excited to talk about what you're doing over at LeadX and kind of your approach because if I'm not mistaken, you're a bootstrapper. And that's something that I relate to well as someone who's kind of bootstrapped a software business. So tell me a little bit about the journey starting LeadX, what you guys have been up to for the last year or so, and kind of how you're approaching this 0 to 1 bootstrapping business process.
Sure. So my philosophy has always been like a bootstrap mindset in regards to building a business. Like to take a step back, I've always been very entrepreneurial. I started out working at an equipment finance company in Philadelphia. So Philadelphia is very much like home to me. And I was their lead gen guru, lead czar, as they affectionately called me, and data scientist all in one. And that's where I really developed my entrepreneurial spirit as well as my technical skills. And I realized that if I can take the knowledge that I cultivated at the company and then like democratize it across the entire industry, and where a focus is very like vertical based, and it's a vertical based solution that no one has ever done before. And it wouldn't make sense for the big players to develop that because it's a small pond. But for me, it's a very much like a big pond. I knew that like from a market fit perspective that I would have something pretty big. And I'm excited to elaborate upon that further as we progress in the podcast. But yeah,
For
that's
sure.
like an overview.
Yeah, no, I love it. I'm bootstrapper at heart as well. I've never raised money. I'll be honest, sometimes I always feel almost a little like shy about saying that because I feel like the dialogue out there in entrepreneurism is so much like, how much have you raised and are you, talking with investors and things like that. And that's kind of the expectation. But I think it's overlooking like a huge opportunity to build a nice business. I mean, maybe it won't be Uber, right? Like if it's tough to kind of bootstrap something that's going to become like a household name, but could you build like a very profitable, stable, sound business? Absolutely. I've done it. People are doing it. So I think it's something that deserves a little bit more of the limelight. Lead gen, is a space that, I mean, I love it. I always get a little business envy when I'm talking with someone who does lead gen because like everyone is potentially your customer, right? Like everyone needs leads. But it's also worth acknowledging that it's like a crowded space, right? Like there are a lot of tools and services out there because there's such a demand for it. So how are you kind of approaching, getting into this crowded market?
It's a good question because like we've all gotten the spam emails and like the spam messages on LinkedIn about like lead gen from like, some guy like a world away, right? And it's gotten a bad rep, I would say, very much so. It's because of it's a crowded market. And there's a lot of poor quality players out there. Where I come in, where I differentiate myself, is a vertical based solution. So like building a product in particular, a data solution that is specific to an industry that differentiates myself from everybody else. And the data itself is I have data that on companies that like are particularly small to medium sized businesses that no one else has. I develop web scrapers like all my own IP and myself, where I'm constantly scraping the internet for new companies, new information. So I have these proprietary systems in place that differentiate me from the crowd. And really, it's all about like listening to my clients, hearing their feedback. And in addition to that, I've been using the biggest and the best tools like the Zoom infos, like the Dun and Bradstreet Hoovers, since the inception of my data science career. So I know what they do well, and I take bits and pieces of what they do well. I know where their deficiencies are, And so I iterate and improve upon them to create the best product and best platform that combines the best of their worlds, but also like tries to fill those gaps or those voids that are their deficiencies that like differentiates me from other from competitors, big or small.
Yeah, makes total sense. I mean, it's really all about the data, right? Because at the end of the day, like, you know, whatever lead gen tool is going to have like revenue and stuff like that. But that's just kind of like it's why so many of us feel like we're getting spammy messages. I think because the person on the other end maybe didn't have the data to know whether or not we were really a good fit, whether or not we were really interested in their services, whether or not we were the right person to get in touch with. So I do feel like the emphasis on the data here is key. And as someone who is kind of like I do SEO, right? So it's equally crowded, if not more, than lead generation. So I do know a thing or two about kind of like what it's like. And you don't necessarily, this is my opinion, it sounds like it's yours as well. You don't necessarily need to go revolutionarily like different with the approach, but you need a hook, you need an angle, you need something nuanced that's say, hey, this is why we're kind of different here. It sounds like you're onto that, and you're listening to customers, which is always going to kind of guide you in the right direction. One approach that, you know, many people would consider taking in your shoes is kind of to go like low priced, right? That's usually like a potential tactic to kind of enter the market. Is kind of to say, hey, yeah, especially when you're kind of building the tool in the beginning and you don't have as many differentiators. One thing's just kind of like, hey, we're $29 a month and the other guys are like $200 a month, so kind of go with us. And then you kind of like move up market as you go along. That doesn't seem to be your approach. At least that's the way I understood it from looking at the pricing page and stuff like that. Yours seems to be more so targeted at like, you know, medium enterprise style businesses. So tell me a little bit about kind of the pricing strategy here and what you're thinking.
Good question. So my target clientele isn't like individuals. It's enterprise, they're enterprise or just like businesses in general that like they have like company-wide contracts. So like my contracts our annual contracts range from like 6 to 7,000 up to medium size would be, or like let's say the professional plan would be like 12,000 a year, and then upwards of that it's like there's significant cost savings associated with like by credit and per seat as you go beyond that towards like an enterprise level plan. But I really wanted to I really wanted with like the pricing strategy to like really differentiate myself. I would say that the pricing strategy compared to like a Zoom Info or like another offering is actually pretty competitive. Like Zoom Info charges 20 to 40 grand, I've heard, for annual contracts. So I'm undercutting them significantly by hovering around that 6 to 7 upwards to 12,000 a year. So I would say that that's a pretty significant differentiator from a cost and price perspective. But in addition to that, I would consider myself more LeadX is more, you get more bang for your buck. You get more bang for your buck, and it's more cost effective as well compared to like a Zoom Info. But I mean, as far as like, you know, offering subscriptions for like $30 to $100 or even $100 a month, like I'm not looking for like I'm not looking for to partner with individual, like on an individual level. It's really on a company level. So like companies are able to afford like those type of that's very palatable from their perspective. It's not just like Joe Schmo on the street that are just like from an individual basis purchasing the plans. That would be very much out of reach if that were the case.
Yeah, I really respect that. I think that it feels as though you kind of really know who you're after, and instead of kind of trying to maybe like stair step your way and attract a bunch of people along the way that are not really your target ICP and would potentially lead the product direction in the wrong direction, basically by suggesting certain features or needs that are not really compatible with your actual like target customer. You've really kind of honed in on who you're going for from the get-go, and that way, you know, the conversation is going to be consistent throughout. And maybe it takes a little bit more time to kind of get to a place to be able to meet them and get out their level. But again, you're like kind of focused from the beginning.
Relationship focus, very much the relationship focus. quality over quantity absolutely is like has been my approach in regards to business development. But also to that end, from from a pricing perspective, my kind of like home industry is financing, is commercial financing. So I have a ton of clients that I can partner with to offer financing. So like instead of that 12 grand up front, well, it's for the client, it's a little over $1,000 a month, which makes it much more palatable that they keep that cash flow rather than me invoicing them the 12 grand up front. But I get the 12 grand up front if it's financed from the financing company. So it works out really well that I'm able to leverage those connections and like offer that option to my clients.
Yeah, that's a very cool option. It's not something I've like come across too often in the space. So what's kind of next for you guys? Where are you heading? Whether it's product marketing, what's kind of can we expect in 2024?
So 2024 is all about just like getting my feet off the ground in regards to like a hard platform launch. Like I'm putting a bone ribbon on the web application. I had the website up and running, so that's really solid. So I'm going to do an official like rebrand slash launch in the beginning of the new year. And so that will put me on parity with like the big players, like the Zoom Infos, like the Dun and Bradstreet Hoovers. But the next step is creating a recommendation system. Think of it as like a Netflix for sales. So like rather than a client logging into the platform, interfacing with it, they have unfettered access to complete as many searches as they like within their credit allotment. They can certainly do that. However, I want to take it a step further where I want to reduce as much friction as possible from the lead search process perspective, where I want to create a Salesforce connector. I want the platform to interface with my client's Salesforce or HubSpot, whatever CRM they have, and identify, okay, what companies are my clients slaying the dragon in? And this would be a client-based approach for each client, specifically each client. And then find similar companies, cross-reference like the aggregated performance metrics of a certain client, cross-reference that with my entire database of millions of companies, and then say, hey, you're slaying the dragon, you're doing really well in A1 janitorial. Well, here's other janitorial companies with a similar amount of revenue, employees, similar keywords on the website, et cetera, and among other attributes that indicate it's a match or you should engage with them. And that will be, it's kind of like a sales on autopilot, Netflix recommendation system, et cetera, that would be a significant game changer. That like the big players, they don't have that. They just like sell you a platform seat, here's your credits, and they say bye-bye. Whereas I want to be like I said, relationship focused, but also provide a lot of value in that regard by leveraging AI and machine learning.
Very cool. Yeah, I was gonna say like dating or something, but I like the Netflix reference better.
Yeah.
I think people have like a more positive sort of emotion to that over like matching and stuff like that. Super cool, man. People that want to get in touch with you, they want to learn about the website, the tool, and you. Where do they go?
They can email me like john@leadx.io. I have my LinkedIn page. So the website is www.leadx.io. And I'm available on along all those channels. But email and LinkedIn would definitely be would be the preferred channels.
Awesome, man. Okay, thanks so much for being on the show. Appreciate it.
Dave, thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.